Is there anyone in the audience who has not heard of Standing Rock? Doesn't look like it. All right. So how many of you all have been following the fight between the pipeline company, the U.S. government, and the collective of citizens who call themselves the Water Protectors? So no matter how you feel about the pipeline and the battle going on specifically in Standing Rock, we must all consider and respect the values and the rights of the people who first inhabited this country and who we have so ruthlessly persecuted for much of our history. Our next speaker is Chase Alone Iron Eyes. And Chase Alone Iron Eyes is an enrolled member of the Standing Rock Nation and a lawyer by occupation. He has dedicated his career to ending the oppression of tribal nations. He has served as a staff attorney for the Lakota People's Project, which was an initiative founded in 2005 specifically to end the unlawful removal of Lakota children from their families to be placed in foster homes outside of their communities. And before this last fall, he was best known for founding LastRealIndians.com, which helped lead an effort on behalf of the Great Sioux Nation to regain control of Peshla, one of their most sacred sites in the Black Hills. But in the spring of this year, Chase announced his candidacy for U.S. Congress using these words: "I'm running for Congress out of necessity. I see that our government is broken, and I feel responsible to do my part to try and fix this on behalf of North Dakota." So here to share with us the story of his people and the philosophy of their resistance in North Dakota and across the country, Iron Eyes.
Thank you. Am I on? Wow, that's nice, loud and clear. Thank you all for the warm welcome. My name again is Chase Iron Eyes. Hamadakyapi Chante Washte Nape Chayuzapelo. Right? You all got that? That means, my relatives, I greet you with a heartfelt handshake, or a handshake from the heart. I come to you today, I'm most honored, most privileged, and humbled to be able to stand before you and to be a voice. This story that I'm about to tell you happened, a lot of things in life we don't plan. Everybody knows that. The young people are starting to realize that you can't plan everything. I spent the last 4 years prior to running for the United States Congress being a voice for Native America. I studied political science and Native American studies in undergrad, and then I went to the University of Denver College of Law to understand international law, to understand federal Indian law, and how nation states, how the doctrine of discovery, how international schools of thought really see the law and give us a place in our world, in our country. We are a young country as America. We've got a lot to learn, and we've got to learn that tribal nations have a lot to share. We are engaged right now in the most serious fight of our generation. It is a fight for water security. Our mantra is water is life, Mini Wichoni. I never thought that I would hear those words, those syllables in a room, a beautiful place such as this. Nobody knows how old our languages are. And right now, we've got to be clear that the fight is not between Indian people, Native American people, and white people, or even state governments, federal governments. The fight is between people who want clean drinking water and the corporations who have at their disposal all arms and institutions of the state to force their will, not only on Indian people, but on all of us. This is a time for serious introspection. The theme of our gathering here today is the power of one. What is one? What is the power of one? The power of one is the God-given ability to transcend any superficial or artificial classification measure, such as your phenotype, your skin color, or your language, your religions, your songs, your dances, your culture. Beautiful cultures, beautiful differences that make us stronger because we respect them. But no doubt, we must transcend our differences. Right now in our country, you can feel it. I felt it on my flight over here. I felt that one of the good ones got away in Bernard Sanders, right? We can all... but we've got to get through this. This is where we, the people, have to step up. When I decided to run for Congress, it truly was out of necessity because our worldview does not value water. It does not value the rivers. It does not value the streams, the mountains, the land, the sacred sites. It doesn't take into account, when we calculate GDP, we don't take into account deforestation. We don't take into account species extinction or the potential to destroy entire river systems. We do not have a true cost economy, and we are taking things for granted, and we can no longer do that. We need to be part of the great awakening happening right now. It's happening right now in our country. And just like water, just like the power of one, water is the power of one. Water unites us all. Water is part of you. You are born into water in the womb according to our cosmology, a cosmology original to this hemisphere, but welcoming of all cosmologies and cultures from around the world. Tells us, it lets us know from mythological and geological times of 1 billion years ago that water is imbued with the power of creation. Water truly unites us all. And just like water, a stream, just like that stream decides that it's going to break through its banks, it's going to cut a new course, because it's got the power of the spring thaw. That's what we have to do in our country. We have to break our banks. How do you like that pun? I didn't even plan that. But we've got to chart a new course. It's totally possible. And never before has it been more necessary. I didn't plan to get into the water fight. I was trying to run for the United States Congress, to be the first Native American to hold that seat. But as they say, things don't always go as planned. And I was out on a boat enjoying all the wonders of first world amenities, taking my kids tubing, and I get a text. This is when the pipeline fight started heating up. The images that you're seeing are where it has gone to, where it has devolved to, and where it has regressed to. But in the beginning, I wasn't involved. I was trying to run a U.S. congressional race. I was out on the boat, and I get a text that my wife has been arrested. Now, my wife has about 10 more years of academic training than I have. She's a pediatric physician who's a specialist in adolescent medicine. She's a Stanford med grad. She's the head of the only clinic on the Standing Rock Nation. She's a rock star. And for her, for somebody of her stature, to go to the site of the protest, to go to the front line and decide based on her own moral and spiritual conviction that she could not take it anymore, the acts of violence which were being perpetrated on Mother Earth, the risks that we were being asked to bear at Standing Rock, an Indian reservation, the site where they moved the pipeline, state authorities moved the pipeline from Bismarck, North Dakota, the capital city, population of which is mostly Caucasian, where we made our home for the last 8 years. They moved the pipeline from there to the Indian reservation, and they're asking us right now to look our children in the eye and to tell them, you must now bear the risk of cancer. You must now bear the risk of dirty water. You must now put your life at risk. This is what they're asking us. And we're coming wherever we have to go to let you know that we need help. Because at one point or another, right now they're coming for Indians, but they're coming for your water or your life. At some point, look at who in here knows about the Nelson County situation. Now, more than ever, we have to stick together. We have to transcend all those differences. I don't want to name names or say Trump out loud. But we are going to be tested. All of those differences which have been used, they're very real differences, and it's easy to exploit those differences. But we have to cut through those. We have to. The future of our country depends on it. We have to realize that we've got to share. We've got to value the civilization, the regenerative civilization that existed here for tens of thousands of years. We have a lot to learn from each other. That mission, that work falls upon us. We have to take responsibility for that work. I have full faith in everybody in this room. I know that you're not here by accident, that you come as an open vessel, probably because you're trying to answer to your conscience. You're trying to connect with a higher consciousness. You're trying to seek the divine nature in yourselves and in everybody who has something to share. You all have something to share. You're all leaders in my eyes, but we need to stick together and we need to help each other. Because what you see in the background, that fight is potentially coming to all of us. Water is the most profitable global industry, only next to oil and electricity. We could base a whole currency off of water. So we have to realize how important it is. Those values must translate into our economic systems. Water is sacred, but it's also good business to protect water resources because all forms of economic development flow directly from our water security. I want to thank you for the short bit of time I get with you today. Truly, it's my honor and my privilege, and I'm humbled to speak before you. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right. So Seriously, I know that obviously you don't want to mention Trump or the election, but seriously, how does this election and how are politics playing into this situation right now?
Politics will always play into this situation. I didn't know this until I ran for Congress, that money has totally hijacked our democracy and hijacked our politicians. Right now in North Dakota, we have a governor who owns financial interests and has a financial stake in the Dakota Access Pipeline. We have a senator with the same set of circumstances. In my situation as a lawyer, circumstances that if I behaved that way, I would lose my law license because it's unethical. But right now, I mean, this hits close to home right here. It's hitting close to home with a new president who's vowing to revive the Keystone XL pipeline and who I know will further escalate and militarize and brutalize people who are standing up for clean drinking water for 10 to 18 million people in our largest river resource in our country.
How can we help?
Yes, we have to come together. The one particular way that we can help is we can help boost each other's stories. I'm going to look into Nelson County, but I also need you to look into Water is Life and the No DAPL fight at the confluence of the Cannonball and Missouri rivers. If you look for standingrock.org or lastrealindians.com, look at any of the social media sites. There's been sort of a media blackout. But as we've seen with the advent of social media and the digitization of our society for good, bad, and ugly, we can do powerful things with just the power of one, with just the power of people being willing to help each other. So just sharing our stories, that's good enough. Donating, that's even better. Talking to your people, your networks, that's even as important as being on the front line. We understand not everybody can be at the front line. People are getting shot with rubber bullets, with bean bags, they're getting maced, they're getting tear gassed. They're being brutalized. American citizens right now are being subjected to martial law. So we all need to get woke and stay woke because we have hard times.
So full disclosure, many of the people in this community may have seen me on the news before. I feel this very personally. We have family property where our homestead is, where the Atlantic Coast Pipeline is coming right through the center of it, and it would ruin that plan for our family and our life. But what I also understand is that in your case, in January, we think this thing resolves one way or another. It sort of has to by mandate of what's going on. When that happens, then what? What's next?
Well, we've got to be truthful with ourselves. Look, we're a country that uses 20 million barrels of oil per day. Our entire legal, political, and physical infrastructure and institutions is based on petrochemicals and other industry. We have to be truthful about that. This means that we have to find a path forward. The world is looking to us to lead. Look, they always say that pipelines are the safest, but I don't think they're taking into account destruction of our water resources. We just need to revalue things. We need to start seeing each other as human beings, not... Now, I don't know if since campaigning, I don't call white people anymore. You're German, Norwegian, Swede, Russian, whatever. We all have a culture here, but we've got to see through that and see that we're in the same struggle. We're in that same struggle, and it's right here in our country. We have to create the reality, the political, economic, and cultural reality that we want our grandkids to be raised in. That's our responsibility. That's not a government's responsibility. So we need to start sharing with each other as human beings and as people.
Yeah. Well, thank you. The thing that you said that really resonates with me is we the people. Ultimately, we the people are the only ones who can solve this. So with deep respect for what you all are doing in Standing Rock, thank you.
Thank you. It's my honor.
Thanks.